So the live stream appears to be working, Hungan, and let's see if the Instagram live works as well by Hutsekesti. Oh, matsotso lokwe Hungan, man mabendisi hit, man wetti hit. We're all so sweaty today. Hungan, and it's because Guy Gigi Holami Zoom si finideni neni, maybe. Call me finideni neni, Wenti. Hungan. All right, so Naizu and Ratu, let me just give me 1 second and I'm just gonna double check, make sure all the live streams are working. Hungan and Nagi. Looks like we are good. Looks like Hungan, it looks like we are good. Biba, Biba, Biba. Okay. All right, here we go. Hafade todos hamzu buena hudzong. Buenas. Estigi un nuevo na episode Fanatsu. Estigi I Fanatsu podcast Hungan. And what we have with us. So Fanatsu is a place for Chamorro voices, Chamorro histories, Chamorro stories. One of the things that we do also on Fanatsu is the Chamorro language. We have Chamorro language episodes, we have Chamorro language resources, and we have episodes that are specifically for Chamorro learners. We showcase the experiences of Chamorro learners. We have our Learning Chamorro Journey series. And for the past few years, one of the things that we've been doing is that we've also been talking to Prugråman Sinipok. And this is a wonderful, amazing program that I am so glad to be a part of. It is a completely volunteer-run program supported by nonprofits and government entities, charter schools, but the core group of people who make it happen are all volunteers. And it is a group that runs an annual Chamorro language culture and immersion program in Sinipok. And I'm excited that who I have here in the Zoom with me right now are some of the participants and one of the organizers, Lo Estaba participante. He used to be a participant, now an organizer. And that seems to be a trend for the Prugråman Sinipok is you join, it's like one of those marketing scams. You join as they bring you in with the Tupperware and you're like and then you're selling the Tupperware, right? They bring you in with the learn Finut Samoro and then you're teaching the Finut Samoro. It's great. Somebody needs to make a meme like that from the office. What? Is this a program on Sinipok? Hungan, it is a program on Sinipok. And so it's wonderful to have everyone here to talk about Prugråman Sinipok 2025. This was the fourth year of this program, which has a 2 week, so it's a 2 week in-person program. It's happened 3 times in Guam, once in California. And basically over the course of those 2 weeks, it's language and cultural immersion. And so there's classroom activities, there's field trips, there's workshops, there's visits with Manamku, there's visits with cultural practitioners, there's visits with cultural masters. There's lots of games, interestingly enough. There's been bingo just about every single year of the program. I don't know what that says about the Chamorro people and bingo. I don't know what that says at all, but there's always been bingo. And so I'm very excited to have everyone with me here. And I want to give you a chance to introduce yourselves. And so para tutuhunides and si aligaw, and then we'll go around with the participants. So Finetna, put favor, introduce in Maisa. Introduce in Maisa how? Go ahead, aligaw, hago Finetna.
Day, Guahusi Aligo, Smaskasugid sa Buena Park, Lo Damangkulutsugid sa San Diego. Um, I'm do I go with my whole bio? I'm 33 years 33 years old. Out in the diaspora. I'm an organizer for a program in Sinipok. Zan, we just finished up our program in summer, and it was beautiful because it was my first time in Wuhan, so it was great.
Si Zeus Masi, si Zeus Masi. All right. And so, Nita Atan Hadzi, I guess we should do tomorrow style. So we should go Hadzimas Amku. Gigurupo. So, Bunti si Senora Hungan, Senora Hago Finet na put favor. I was not going to say anything. Senora si Zeus Masi, I know, and Hatse Kanaimo. All right, Senora, put favor.
Oh, Sigdus Masi, Guahusi Ladzek, Lo Naan Hu Rina Sablan, Fino English, Sumasaga Giza, South Korea, Lo Sumasaga Masdankalu, Texas. And yes, I was part of the Sinipok this last summer, and it was great.
Si Zeus Masi. Si Zeus Masi. Okay. I think, okay, Deberita Atanay si Gefzunga or maybe Finadeni Neni. Tisiguro, I'm not sure. I need new glasses. And for those of you who don't know, and Gefzunga, you may want to explain this running joke, but por favor, introducen my sahau.
Buenas, Hafade, Guahusi, Giftinga, Finu tomorrow, or English, Jessica Virgil, Lo, maybe Finideni Neni. I'm not Finideni Neni, but over this summer it happened twice where I got mistaken for Finideni Neni and Go Zahu, I love, and Gwaidza, Finideni Neni, love Elise, but sadly I'm not her. But shout out to her. Go follow her content. But it was funny that it happened more than once and potentially could happen in the future. But Sumaska, pues anyways, Sumaska zu Giza, Brooklyn, New York. Gof Zazas sa it's like 10 p.m. And very happy to be here. This is my second time attending Prugråman Sinipok. I attended it when it was hosted in San Diego, and was happy to join back in Guahan. I'm good. Yeah.
Si Zeus Masi, Alexis Puente Hago Pago, put favor.
Guahu si Siwanu lo in anhu yi Ingles Alexis Karandang Sumaska zu Giza Washington State, and this was my first time doing program in senior book, and it was amazing.
All right. Derek Hago imas patgun Puente, pues Hago Masi.
Hunggan, half a day, Guahusi Laon, Pat Gifino Ingles, si Derek Harrison. Gaigitsu Pagu Giza Connecticut Lo Tao Tao Los Angeles Ju Zan Dumankaludzu Guihi. This was also my first time doing program in Sinipok. It was my second time on the island, but I had a very memorable experience this past summer, spending 8 weeks there, 2 of which was with the program.
Oh, Biba. No, Biba Hamzu. Biba Hamzu. And so, Hungen, I think para Hamzu ni Omega, if you are watching the Fanatsu podcast, then siempre esta untunguna, you know that the Chamorro language is in a tough spot right now. That the Chamorro language, and so we don't necessarily have to talk to you if you're watching Fanatsu about the reason why we want to learn Chamorro. We want more people learning Chamorro, right? Because, by my estimation, 80% of the Chamorro people in the world today can't speak their native language. And so anything that we can do to help get more Chamorro people speaking, learning, encouraging them to get started in their learning journey is good. And Prugråman Sinipok is it's a great way sort of to, beyond sort of just it's a great way to kind of it's an interesting and empowering sort of approach that you can take in your journey. And so I'm eager for people to hear more about that experience. Because when we think about a lot of the ways that people do learn languages nowadays, right? There's apps, there's programs, and a lot of it is more people are turning to chatbots, apps, and those programs. But when you think about it, you're talking to somebody who's you're talking to Scarlett Johansson teaching you tomorrow or something like that, or you're talking to Darth Vader teaching you tomorrow. And so it's very while you're gaining knowledge, it's also at the same time kind of disconnecting you. It may be disconnecting in some ways. And so I love Prugråman Sinipok for sort of what it represents in terms of connecting learners. And so, Aligo, I want to kind of hand this off to you. Sahagu, organizer, Gwini. You're the organizer. And so, can you talk to us about sort of give us an overview of the program? Give us an overview of what the program is and Hadzi Otrutauta, who are the organizers for the program and who kind of makes the program possible? What are some of the entities that support the program?
All right. So there's a couple of other organizers. I'm the new one. I'm the Pozitus of the group. I was a participant of last year. We have our Magahaga, June Pingalingin, Dagao. We have Mammoth, Clarissa Mendiola, Tadong, Alex White, and Haligi, Michael Van Den Leyen. All of us together, just complete volunteers. None of us are getting paid, but we're all here for the mission of the revitalization of the Chamorro language and creating a space. Programa Sinipok is a 2-week Chamorro adult immersion program that happens in the summertime. What we do is teach a language, and what naturally comes with language is comes our history, our learning about our history, our culture, and our identity, ourselves, and creating that safe space for all of us to learn our language. Because not only is it difficult to learn any language, it's also very difficult to learn a heritage language, a language that belongs to you, because there are lots of different emotions that are tied to that, especially coming from a colonized people. So the program in the Sinipok, again, is that 2-week program. We have daily class lessons with guest speakers that will speak to us in Chamorro to have as much exposure with the language as possible, which is not common, as our participants are people from everywhere, from Guahan, the other parts of the Marianas, this NMI, the rest of the diaspora out in the States. So all of us kind of come together, all Chamorro, different walks of life, different ages, different backgrounds. But what unites us is our desire for connection, our desire for a passion for the Chamorro people, and also to learn our language. I'm trying to think about it. We have many other groups that also support us besides the Guam Museum and, Guam Bus. And Fanatsu, but we also have, Haral Academy graciously allowed us to go ahead and have our program this summer at their site. So it was kind of a beautiful thing for us to be able to not only be with each other to learn the Chamorro language, us adults, but then just a few feet away, we have young, nannies learning the Chamorro language that are way more fluent than us. And it was such a blessing to be able to interact with them and to hear children sing and dance and cry and tell jokes in Chamorro. And to be a part of that was a beautiful experience. But yeah, I think Programa Sinipok as a program is something very special. We don't know if there's anything like it at the moment. So it just empowers us to continue going and creating this space and to try to expand and do more, learning and connecting with our Chamorro community.
Hunggaran, mga malafanay Tsetlu. I don't know if you said Tsetlu. Did you say
Oh,
Tsetlu?
I did not.
Okay,
I did
yeah, mga
not. That's
malafay
a
Tsetlu mo.
Oh
Tsetlu
yeah,
San Diego.
sorry, yeah, our fiscal sponsor, yeah, Tetlu. Yes, them as well. They support us, especially providing our space at CCF, the Chamorro Cultural, the Chamorro CCF Chamorro Culture Festival in March. Being able to have a space there granted by them, and being able to really connect with the community while they're at the festival, while they're like, buying their stuff and having live lessons in front of people to go ahead and participate in. Yeah, so it's nice that they provide that space for us as well as being our fiscal sponsor.
Oh, Biba. No, Hungan, and I think you brought up the issue of nothing sort of like this, and you know, an immersion program. There are youth immersion programs, of course, but an adult immersion program, that's something where there's nothing for Chamorros at least. Now, people might say, oh, well, you can just buy a ticket to Luta and go to Luta and then just wander in the jungle and go and talk to Sinjot Minjola, Sinjot Manglotnya, and just go and hang out with them. And of course, if just being around Chamorro speakers for long enough, if you can find them, then that is a way to learn the language. That's natural immersion. That's how language acquisition works. But one of the things, and this is where I want to hear from each of from the program participants, right? For many Chamorros today, there aren't a lot of language speakers in their families. And so actually finding people who are comfortable and confident in sharing the language with you, because, I can tell you this, I find Chamorros out there who are like, yeah, I have one auntie, but, who speaks Chamorro, but then, I got to take her on a casino run to get her to speak Chamorro with me, and I don't have that kind of money. I can't afford, I can't afford it. And so you have to follow the elders where they are. And it's hard then to maintain your life, a job, to follow the elders where they are. And so it's easier in the Marianas, but in the diaspora, of course, it can be very difficult because you might have Chamorro speaking elders in your family, but they might be spread out across many different states. And so they might come together when somebody dies, when there's a reunion, but the rest of the time, you're going to get them together for a Zoom every week, or how are you going to get that to happen? And so for this part, I want to actually talk to each of and Taigui si Senor Riri. That's okay, Maulika. It's like Maulika. So Gef Zunga, I want to end and what's it called? Suano and Laon. So what brought you to the program? Because that's one of the things. There's different ways to learn Chamorro, right? But there is a tuition cost. There's also the time commitment, right? These are barriers that make it difficult for some people to commit to the program. And so I want to kind of Gefzunga Hagu Finetna, what kind of brought you, what connected you to the program? What made you interested into the program? Especially because Parahago STE Mina Dos na biyahe. This is your second time participating.
For sure. Well, I think like initially, adios, Zach. Definitely initially, like during the pandemic, right, you switched your classes over to on Zoom. And so I think that's how I initially got connected with being able to Chamorro lessons. I think I always had like a desire to learn the Chamorro language, and so that made it possible. And then I came across advertising for Prugråman in Sinipok, and that just felt like a natural way to like amplify and take a deeper step into learning Chamorro. I think knowing that I could only do so much on my own, and also just kind of separated from other people. So I think that was super appealing that I could be surrounded by people. Also, the program being in San Diego was like, okay, that's a little bit more accessible for me to travel to. So just being able to immerse myself, I think, fully with like hearing it more, more than once a week, was something that I definitely knew I needed. And then to come back for a second year, I definitely, in the program, I was like, oh, I need to save money for the next year because I'm definitely going to be coming back, just to keep that momentum going. From last program to this program, I've been trying to meet consistently with that, with people from that previous cohort. And so coming back for the second year, was just a nice like way to like, another nice milestone of like, okay, how can see myself improve from last year, and just kind of take those extra steps.
Jesus Masi, Jesus Masi. And Suano Parahogo?
For me, similar to Getzinga, I started taking your Zoom classes, and I always think it's funny, and I always like, oh, I'm Positos forever, but I wanted to really try out Prugråman Sinipok, and I actually wished I heard about it sooner because this was the fourth year that it was like, we're gonna be 100% in Chamorro. Before it was like, we're gonna speak Chamorro and then translate it, and then I was like, oh man, I'm really diving in but I'm really glad I did it. And just to be in a space where we're all speaking together and trying to learn together. For me, growing up in the States, I heard Chamorro. My parents spoke it. I would hear it at parties, but it wasn't really spoken to us kids. So I really wanted to like move past that. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate I didn't learn it growing up when I was younger, and it would have been easier to learn as a child. But knowing it's not too late, like we could learn now, and it doesn't feel like I feel like I'm still Positos, but with time, I feel like I'm learning more and connecting with others. And
Jesus Masi, Jesus Masi. And Laon, Hogo, Pogo?
Again, Paraguahu, um, there was very little Chamorro in my home growing up. Uh, I took it with my sister Jasmine, si Hasmin. And after doing that program, we know way more Chamorro than anyone else in the house. And, I was self-studying Chamorro for a while by then. I had started before high school, doing it online. Um, and after all that work that I put in, I felt like I was hitting a wall and how much I was actually acquiring the language. And um, I felt like to get a breakthrough, I needed someone to speak to. And of course, my grandparents had spoken it as their first language. They came from Guam. And the problem is that they passed away when I was very little. So I never really got a chance to really interact with them. I never really, I took my Chamorro heritage for granted until long after they were gone. So by the time I was really wanting to learn the language, I didn't have anyone to practice it with. So Prugråman Sinipok gave me that community, because I think that's the most important thing in learning a language, is that you have a community to speak with. And coming to Guam for the second time, I was really able to appreciate it much more than the first time, which was 10 years ago. I was 10 years old then. And even being able to come to the island and reconnect with some of the more extended family, because even my family on the island, they speak a little better Chamorro than my family in the States. Being able to be surrounded by people who do know the language in a much more intimate way than anyone I knew really helped me to. I never thought I'd be able to come so close to having a comfortable proficiency in Chamorro before taking this program. So I'm very thankful for that.
Ay, bonito ano, bonito ano, bonito todo sinangan minzo. I think and I really do want to zahonay na be onra na si June Pangilinan, si Duggao, because even in just hearing, from all of your experiences, especially, those of you who started in my Zoom tomorrow classes, but who had that experience of, that a Zoom tomorrow class or even just any class is usually not enough. You have to kind of take it to another level in terms of your learning, and that was June's experience, kind of attending a few of my Zoom classes, but realizing that she needed more and that other people probably needed more, but then her willingness then to actually take on the responsibility, take on the burden of organizing, as a volunteer, Tadza Salape, Tadza Swetdu, take on the burden of organizing a program for others, creating space and opportunity and resources for others. It was so cool. I mean, I always tell people, Angin tihita pues hadzi, and I love seeing how people, such as Prugråman Sinipok, just really activates that and creates that. Just like if if there are so many learners who have hit a ceiling, who have hit a limit in their learning, are we going to wait for somebody else to create resources for us? We have to do something to create like more learning possibilities, more learning communities. And so I love that Si Dugao, Si June, that she was willing to kind of put herself out there. And then since then, just program participants have become program organizers. And so it's Gof Bonito. It's like wonderful. It's like, you start off at the fiesta chasing away the flies, and then one day you're putting up the pala pala, fixing the pig, cooking all of the Kelagwin dishes, and then you're the magahaga that everyone fangingis. It's beautiful. Anyways, Sidus Masi June. Sidus Masi Dagaunay. Sidus Masi. I know she was watching earlier. Hungen Hugo Fagridesi. Todui bidamudza. Todui bidadamo lokwe. All right. And so let's talk now that we've kind of talked about why some of you, and if you have any questions, share some of your questions about the program or for the participants, right? If you have any questions for the participants, please share. And what I want to ask now is, and Aligo, we can go to you first. Actually, Aligo, let's go to you last for this one. Dispensadzo. Even though you have cool Lati stones in the background, and I feel like there's going to be like a Guajagera, there's going to be like a Lati war, a virtual Lati background war with you and Gefzunga's backgrounds for like supremacy of the virtual backgrounds with the and Atan si Suano. Suano's got a Lati in the background there too, like the crystal Lati. And
Kazunga has
then
the real one, so that's why.
and then Laon has it looks like spices or like a
I need to work
pantry.
on my background. I
You
have
have
my
like a spice
roommate's
rack.
whatever it is behind me.
It's okay. It's okay. I have the bridge at Sella Bay in my background, but by the time we finish with this round, I will have changed my background to Lati Stones so that I can join the group. All right. But so let's hear though about some of your experiences this year. And so we can reverse the order this time, actually. We'll start with the Latilis Laon here. Tadza Latinia, it's okay. And so
Again.
talk about some of your experiences this year. Hafisinin Tetmu, Hafat Zamu. Did you find it to be like challenging? Was it stressful? Because sometimes people have very stressful experiences in the program. It challenges their assumptions, but overall it's rewarding. And so what was your experience like?
Again, Gulf Maput ha. It was hard to really like learn the language on an intensive level, and that was something that I had to adjust to. I thought it was an exhilarating experience because it's the first class I've had in a spoken language since honestly 5th grade when I took Spanish class. So I had to really like get myself back into that mode of thinking where I had to converse with people in a language I wasn't comfortable with. And that took a lot of like, I guess, motivation from my part um, to really like push myself to get out of my comfort zone and to speak as much tomorrow as I could um, with everyone around me. Um, but at the same time, it was like a very fun experience too. We did so many like excursions, and I really enjoyed the hike to the Tekzen. That was really like I'll remember that for the rest of my life. The um, just the butterflies everywhere and the scenery that um, we saw. That was nothing like I've ever like nothing like what I've seen before. Um, so I really liked the balance of um, I guess you could say work and play because we were really like working a lot, learning Chamorro the whole time, but at the same time we were also like integrating it into all these fun activities that I mean we were on the island and like how could you not have fun when you're on Guam? So there was never a dull moment.
Hey, Biba. Si Diyos Masi. And then Aligaw si Diyos Masi who received na link. And so I think after we've heard from everyone, we can watch the link from the videographer. And so Suano, Halgo hafay isinintep mo, hafay ihinaso mo pudi programa.
For me, I really enjoyed the Korean Sinipok, and going into it, I didn't really know what to expect, and I was actually really nervous just thinking about how much how much are we going to be speaking and trying to understand everyone. And so originally I wanted to bring my mom, who to me is a fluent speaker, but she says she could be better, but unfortunately she wasn't able to go, so I brought my auntie Janet, her sister Sina Sabana, thinking, oh, she'll help me through. And it was really a good experience because she's also a fluent speaker, and but for her, she knows how to speak the language but not necessarily write. And so it was really fun learning with her, and then also seeing her grow too, because I remember the first day Sina Sabana told me, like right in the beginning of class, and she was like, I feel really overwhelmed. And she was like, I don't think I'm going to make it the full 2 weeks of the program. And I didn't want to push her because I was just glad she was there to try. But then later that day, she told me, no, I think I'm going to stick it out. And she wants to take home the resources that we got, the handouts, that kind of material from the program, and share it with her grandkids, my nieces and nephews. And I just thought it's really just amazing how much work was put into this, and it is rewarding to us individually, but then seeing the impact on our family and the friends that we make, and knowing you have someone to turn to. Like I know for me, I would text my auntie or my mom, and before it was like little sentences, and now I'm like, wow, I could do bigger paragraphs now, or tell jokes and understand jokes in the language. And for me, it's been really fun. And also I've been wanting to help my siblings learn. Unfortunately, they weren't able to go this year, but I know my twin was thinking about maybe next year, if there is another one. I'm not sure if it'll be in Guahan or in the States, but it would be really fun to do it again with my family.
Oh, Biba. Oh yeah, Hungan. The so your aunt's participation made this year particularly special because it is one of the things that I love about the more advanced Zoom classes that I teach is that there are people in their 60s and 70s and sometimes 80s who are Chamorro speakers who just want to know more about Chamorro or already speak Chamorro, want to understand the language that they've always been speaking. And one of the things that, that taking a class about the language does is that it unlocks their use of the language, their feelings about the language, because they've used the language their whole life, but colonization, discrimination, oppression, even in their own islands, right? Is that they feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't use this, or I'm not educated, or this or that, whatever they feel. And so they don't want to share it, even with their family, except maybe with their friends or with the church, or when it's time to polish off the novena books, right? But once you get them comfortable and once you make them get them supported and empowered, suddenly the Chamorro flows like Ahu in my dreams. Like I have dreams of Ahu, and so that's I saw that with your aunt, and so I'm so glad. Gof maguf tsunay na hasungan ha hapetsigi nay at sokanay hashashinti adzuna menaput hapetsigi motna. And she didn't leave because her participation, when we see different generations participating, young and old, it just makes it so much more powerful, right? It makes it so much more powerful. And so, si Zeus masi su anunay na un kombida itihamo. Golf bonito. Golf bonito. Ano. And so, Gevzunga, to you, this was your second year. So, este ka lang veteran how nay? Este ka lang veteran how? But of course, you cannot get us cheaper gas on base. But if there was a Chamorro base, then maybe you could get us cheaper a pigigi or something like that. But so tell us about your experiences this second year.
For sure. And also I was gonna also speak to having Sina Sabana in this program, but you beat me to it and said it very, very eloquently too. But yeah, definitely
That's
just
that
big
too.
big appreciation for having her there. And it was like, no, don't give up. I want you to be here. This isn't
Oh
scary.
yeah.
Like I'm still scared. Um, and so very grateful that she stayed and also having kind of like an elder's perspective and auntie's perspective on the language, and also having her like being like living on the island too, I think is a very grounding experience as well. And you know, us living in the diaspora, coming back and then leaving, I think there's just a lot of gratitude for having people there. Um, but yeah, for having this the second year, I think it was still a very challenging experience. Like I think I'm just a very student-wise, a very slow learner, and I think I knew that going into this experience. So still was very confused the second time around. Just learned maybe a few more vocabulary, but just having that kind of perspective, I think having it on Guam in the second time around, there was a lot more opportunities to speak with people, like, people at the stores, or coming across the street. There was moments where we were able to speak Chamorro to those people, and that opportunity happened way more organically, than I was expecting. So that was really lovely. And even it was just like simple moments where we were at like Carabao Brewing and just chatting, where we were using as much Chamorro as we could. I think that was a really memorable experience for myself. And like we're joking in Chamorro, and that's seeing our language really flourish, is that when we can engage in that type of humor. So just kind of amplifying that. Um, so I think, yeah, coming back for a second time, especially on Guam, it's um just like using it more in context was really lovely. Especially like going around the island with the Ligao. Maybe Ligao can speak to that too. But just applying our Chamorro on the go was really incredible. Um, but yeah, still a learner, still learning things, even if you're calling me a veteran, so like still learning. And I think it was kind of cool to see growth of like, oh, I could help out a little bit, like explain some
Yeah.
things here and there, but then also still learning a lot.
Oh, si Zeus Masi, gift si Zeus Masi, and hi, no Hungen, and I like what I like the way that you put it there, sort of the, tomorrow, like that, that just to take advantage of the fact that you could use tomorrow on the go, just the fact that, that you gained that ability that you had more tomorrow and that you felt more confident so that as you encountered tomorrow speakers, you could share like what you knew and because that's the thing is like and that's what I love about these types of spaces, this type of support is that a lot of times we might psych ourselves out because we think like you're 0 or you're 100. And so if you're not yet to 100, then you must still be at 0, so you shouldn't speak. And in fact, I mean, I get even, I have been speaking tomorrow for 25 years now. I have been teaching tomorrow for more than 15 years. I still get people all the time who tell me like on the Guam bus, if I don't like the way you say tomorrow, you shouldn't teach people tomorrow because if you can't teach it 100% perfectly, then you should just not say it tomorrow at all. And I'm like, Lanya, man, I would hate to be your child. Oh my goodness, you must live in the house of Hutsumi Patsotmo, Pakaka Patsotmo, or you must live in the house of silence. You must, who's your Nina and Ninu, Simon and Garfunkel? The sound of silence? What the hell? And so, like, no, we can't have that sort of mentality. If you're gonna, like we need to create, like we need to encourage people to and get them into positions where they can be using the language. And so I loved what you were just sharing there, like that outside of the classroom, you were in spaces like Carabao Brewing, you were just driving around the island, you were interacting with people where the tomorrow that you had learned, the tomorrow that you had gained, you were empowered to use it and share it because it's part of your life now. And that's the best thing is it's not like a book, it's not your notes, it's just part of your life now. Bonito, bonito.
Can I add also like the value, like with especially with Sinus Sabana, and especially it's like we focus a lot on like, oh, I have to like worry about writing or reading tomorrow, but it's actually the speaking and comprehending that I'm learning is like more important, and that's what like Sinus Sabana is like expert at, you know. That's all that like people like them, her and my aunts and uncles who can speak is like that's what they know is auditory and speaking. And so that's the part. Yeah. So
Biba. And Senora Ladzak, enigihaw. Oh, aten silaon. Ma-upgrade.
Again.
We are Team
Oh,
Lati,
wow.
of course.
Yeah.
We are si Capitan Aligaw and the Team Lati. We are the what is it, Captain Planet and the Planeteers? We are si Captain Aligaw and the Latiteers. I don't know. It's too much. I'm pushing it too far. Dispense it. Okay, Senora Ladzak,
Oh, okay.
tell us
Si
about
Zeus Mossy.
some of your Hafay Sinintep mo Hafay na Somo Puri Programa. What were your experiences like in the program this year?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. So I've been taking the Saturday classes for like maybe about a year or two. And for me, it just wasn't enough. So when I saw that opportunity to for the Sinipok, and Guam is I'm fortunate. I live in Korea, so Guam's like 4 hours away, so that wasn't a problem. So I went on ahead and I just told myself, I said, I just got to get the guts to do it. I think this is going to be a safe environment for me to improve my chamorro because my chamorro was just, I'm still pozitos. But being with the group, oh my goodness, Aligal, Haligi, Duggal, and Mamis, oh my gosh, they were very encouraging. Um, I would tell people it's not a scary environment because they're there to help you speak the language. And then what added on to the class was the actual cultural experiences with especially Dakota and how we made coconut oil. I mean, I never thought in my whole life that I would husk a coconut. But that was that was awesome. And then Aligo taking us around the island to places that I've never seen. And I'm already that older generation of Chamorros, and I've been to Guam a few times, but never to those places. So I would highly encourage anyone, any age, to join the Sinipok to if they want to improve the language.
Oh, Biba. Biba. No, si Zeus Masi. And then Aligo, como agua introduce este video? Do you want to introduce the video that you shared with me? I can cue it up right now.
Again, so one of the things I think I failed to mention in the beginning when we talked about the program is we offer daily classes, but of course, being in Guahan, we try to mix it up not only with activities to learn, but also we do site visits. So we did multiple site visits when we were in Guahan, and one of them is the one we're about to see. This is in La Texan, or Rutidian Point, where we went to the Texan caves as well as the Laddie sites. And in the caves, we also got to see pictographs and art and markings on the wall from our Chamorro ancestors, which was, I think, for me, a very special experience. When some of the things that you all were mentioning earlier about, that was a surreal experience. Like, I think taking it in, I was kind of I was kind of in the back. So I was like watching you all walking ahead of me and just seeing butterflies bobbing like everywhere, flying around. I'm like, man, this is beautiful. This is amazing. To see all of that is just an amazing experience. So, yeah, here we have a video of that.
Hafide Guahusi Tadung Gogui Bahago lo Inanhusi Alex White, Nyangareta White, Tautau Manilauds, and Didasco Cruz Tautau Santa Rita, and I'm one of the organizers of Prugråman Sinipok. So one of the most important things, one of the most sacred things we did as part of this year's program was to visit Rutidian or Letexan, a part of the island that our ancestors have lived for thousands of years. It's a place of great mixing, and what's so special about it is the caves that are there. It would be a place where our ancestors would seek refuge during typhoons. One of the other things that is so sacred about it is that there are certain plants and insects, like our more than human relatives, that exist nowhere else on Earth. There is, I think it's the Chonkan Azuzu and the eight-spotted butterfly that exists there and nowhere else on the planet. In a similar way of where our culture lives, where our ancestors are from, it's a very sacred, special place. What we did was go to the Star Cave, and that's where we saw messages and stories from the past. There were pictographs, cave drawings, star charts, handprints of our ancestors that were placed easily, 2,000 years ago, but potentially earlier. It's a place where our ancestors have gathered for hundreds and thousands of years. When we went in a procession and left offerings to the ancestors, just like our ancestors have done since time immemorial. And it's a way to not only pay respect to those who came before us, but also to offer our thanks, our gratitude, our appreciation for everything that our ancestors did that came before us in order for us to be there today. For so many of us, that was the most meaningful experience that we've had, the most profound emotional experience, spiritual experience, something that really grounds us in who we are.
Sen gef pogoen. Oh, ishenentisia, the feels. Oh, ishenentisia, the feels at did. Okay, and so I want to give some time for just to for each person to talk about, and some of you have shared a little bit already, but the program on Sinipok is 2 weeks, which is can be a very intense experience. Some of you have already reflected on that a little bit. 2 weeks of kind of learning a language, which, you know, which some of you have different relationships to already. You've heard a little bit, haven't heard much about. And then, but also being then it's like full days of activities too, lots of learning, busy schedules too. And so, but when you look back on it though, it's 2 weeks of amazing stuff. Like you get to see uh beautiful voices in our community, strong voices in our community, cultural masters. I mean, and so I want to ask, I'll show just briefly some pictures while I'm setting this up, but I want to ask if each of you wants to kind of share something that was particularly beautiful or meaningful for each of you, like a moment. I like that one. That one was from the the legends into plays. Oh, there's Inasa. Inasa was very cool dude. There was lots of games as part of it, of course, incorporating the language into games. Oh, and Telefona Laihai, of course. Telefona Laihai. Oh. And Aligao is doing his best Chad Cholo, right there. Again, it's a very nice sort of a blending of genres of styles that you've got there. The Chad Olo, and this is visiting the exhibit at the Guam Museum. Hearing from three war survivors, Senor Beneventi, Senor Pangilinan, and then Senor White. More games. Oh, and here, I love this one. See Duggo getting to visit with Mama Chai, who was recently honored as a master healer, a master of Chamorro culture. And so, if each of you wants to share one thing that you found particularly meaningful or sort of touching to you, sort of from this weekend, from the program, the 2 week program, excuse me. And so, trying to think who I want to put this on first. Wow, Aligo, you have the radioactive Lati. And so you have the Lati from Fenna. And so Hogofenetna, something that stands out to you as being sort of empowering or meaningful to you from those 2 weeks.
I think the biggest thing for me, with the program this summer and even with last year, I think, and that's like the biggest highlight for the program itself is the community building. I think getting to know other people of our Chamorro community and talking with them, learning about them, connecting with them, learning with them, right, which also creates really strong bonds. Struggling with alongside with them. I think that's probably the one of the biggest highlights, and then experiencing these just enriching cultural experiences. Um, I know being in Guahan for the first time for me, everything was just a lot, in a good way, which is beautiful. Um, it didn't from the class work we did, but also the things outside of the class. It's just every moment, every way you turn, there was just so much Chamorro history, culture, and identity just everywhere. It's like you're just bathed in it. I don't want to use a colonized term, baptized in it, but but you're bathed in it. You're just bathed in it. So it was, yeah, it was great, beautiful.
Bathed in it sounds good, you know.
Yeah.
when you first swim in the waters, when you're visiting the Marianas for the first time in a long time, and you swim in the waters that your family has owned for a while, or your family used to own before the hotels took it or the military took it. Hungen. Hungen. Sidzus Masi Aligaw. Senora Ladzek, something meaningful that stood out to you from your 2 weeks. Durante ni Prugråman Sinipok.
Okay. Well, I really enjoyed how White was with us. Like one of the and I thought is I also thought was touching where the gentleman that spoke about their experiences with World War II. Uh, that was very touching. I cried. That was just, oh, it just got me. And then I really appreciated how illegal and brought us around the island. And then I actually ended my trip with going to on the hike to the Fuana,
Oh, to
where
Fua?
we
Fua?
Fua, yes, sorry, Fua. And uh, speaking of bathing, we were actually in the water, and it just felt very spiritual. Um, I think when I was talking with Matua, I even used the word poetic, just being there, just bring everything in fruition of, the language, the culture, everything that we learn. And then it's crazy to say because it's like we went to the very beginning of how Guam started by taking that hike to that area.
Bonito. Sidzus
Mhm.
Masi Hungen. Always important to incorporate a trip to Fua. Hungen on a trip home. Sidzus Masi. And Gefzunga Parahogo?
For sure. For me, I think definitely with this program, I'm sorry, I have notes that I'm referring to. It's very emotional, right? There's a lot of identity work that comes with it, not just language learning, right? And so it's very emotional. It's a tough week, right? Because there's so many things 2 weeks that we're trying to fit in. You're busy, you're tired, you're even jet lagged, whether or not you're going to San Diego or you're going back to Guam. But for me, what has really stuck with me, even from like the year prior to, was a reminder of our Chamorro values. For me, it was being introduced last year to them, and then for this year, we incorporated them by repeating a list of 12 or 9 Chamorro values every single day, led by Haligi, such as like Anafa Malik, Aggo Fli'i, etc. And so I think I throughout those 2 weeks, even I'm leaning on those values, reminding myself like what they mean, and it's using them as like a grounding piece for whatever we experience. And yeah, so it's just that's really special for us as a Chamorro people. Like we can turn to those as like these are what we ground ourselves in. That's what we can help identify and lean on, and that's different from, other cultures and other people to as we go I go back to my city life, here it's this is how I can bring myself show up in spaces that, might not have a Pacific Islander person. And it's just me. But yeah, it's just very meaningful that we have those and that it connects us just to collective encouragement and like our creativity together. And just also reminding us that we're very spiritual people, whether we're connecting with ourselves or the land, our land or other people's lands, and even with like older people and younger people. And so just that everything's connected and yeah. So just really grateful for our Chamorro values.
Sidzus Masi Hungen. And definitely a shout out to si Haligi Nai. Zen Gof Maulik, si Haligi Mangansidzu. Man, he's great at the crochet. My new baby has 2 crocheted birds in her crib from Haligi. And so, gof bonito ifinatenas niyo. All right. And to Suanu, Hago Paugo. Hafe ofrecimiento mo.
For me, like looking back, like the full 2 weeks, it kind of felt like a almost overwhelming. You were doing things all day, going places, and by the time you got home, you're like, I can't do anything. My body's tired, my brain's tired because learning the culture and the language, it really takes your whole body. But I know for me, when it was time for me to go, I was like, man, that went by too fast. I'm like wondering, like, man, I can't wait to go back. And I really enjoyed the Manamko panel, like Senora Ladzak was saying, and hearing their stories from the war. And what really stood out to me was Malefazu, if it was Senor Beneventi or Senor Pangilinan, but he was talking about like water is life. And that really stuck out to me, like to them during the war, like trying to get water. Then now it's what is happening with our waters. And so it really stuck with me. And a lot of the things, like we can't let history repeat itself, but what can we learn from, what can we do moving forward for ourselves and our islands?
Oh no, Sidus Masisuano, no Denuncio. That was a wonderful panel. And again, it was Senor Juan Beneventi who was talking about that. And he was asked about his feelings on Liberation Day and the military buildup. And, he said that he appreciated the United States expelling the Japanese. And, he was very appreciative of the end of the war. But when, he basically said, you can't survive on this island without water. And so anything that puts our water into jeopardy, and yeah, and it was so powerful, Denancy, how to hear an elder reminding us, as you said, water was so essential back then to survival. It's essential still today too. And so, and to hear it spoken in that way, in that context, was so powerful. Sidus Masi. Sidus Masi. And Laon, we have the same Lati stone set behind us, by the way, the House of Taga, Igimat Taga, Hunga.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, both you, so there's 2 matching sets here. So there's 2 Angel Santos Lati Stone Park Lati, and then there's 2 House of Taga Lati, Biba.
That's exactly what I was thinking about when I saw it on the internet. Um, Guahay Delku dos cosas. One a really memorable moment for me was rowing the glidey. We did that on Matapang Beach, and it was like right at golden hour or sunset, so it was super memorable because I was just thinking about when I was doing it that I'm doing the same thing that my ancestors were doing for like hundreds of years, hundreds, even thousands of years ago. And that was really the moment where I felt like I was bridging the gap between the separation I felt from my heritage. I really felt like I was reconnecting there. The second moment is on the last day we did that giant potluck that we had in our little classroom in at BTAX. And there was potu, and there was tatizas, and ahu, and a pigigit. And whenever I think back on it, I start really craving potu, and then I get really sad because tata potu guini, and but as soon as I get home, I'm gonna try to make it in my kitchen, and we'll see how that goes. But we all brought that together. We all collected it into that potluck, and we were all enjoying it together. And that just really made me think about how Where else in the world are you gonna? Oh yes, there was also lots of tuba. That was really good. Um, and I was just thinking, like, where else are you going to be able to have this experience where you have all these people from all over who are all sharing in um, these common uh, foods that we all know and love. And like when I'm back in the States, I don't have anyone else that I can share that kind of enjoyment with. And I think that really goes back to just in general how when I'm uh, in Gisan Lagu, I feel like I'm not seen as who I really am, and I always have to explain um, everything about my heritage and my culture because people just don't know about us. And it was really healing, I think, to be in that community for 2 weeks that all of us could, for once in our lives, like take for granted uh, having being the majority. We were all Chamorro and we could all relate to each other in that really, crucial part of who we are in our identity. And I thought it was just such a special and one of a kind moment to be able to have all those people around me. And yeah, so that potluck was very, very good. And I just wish I can do it again.
Oh, Biba. Ay, di Guf mahaling si Laon. Okay, wait. So there is a request for a tuba story. So Aligo, you have been summoned to tell the tuba story.
I
You
I think it's when we were driving around Guam and we were trying to find tuba because everyone was talking about tuba and everyone's trying to find some good tuba and we're like, okay, and I've never had tuba before, so I'm like, I want tuba. So we're going around and then we found like, of course, we were in the south part of Guam and we saw like the sign outside of the door. We're driving by it really quickly, and Haley and others were saw a sign and it said like tuba, like for sale. So we're like, oh, okay, so let's go back. So we parked right outside the house. There was nobody at the stand. So like maybe they were just inside and there was a TV on inside. You can see it at the windows. So we're like, okay, let's should we knock on the door? So like some of y'all got out. I think it was Haligi and who else? I think it was you. Somebody else got out and they actually knocked on the door, like, hey, we're gonna ask them for some tuba. And then they were like, oh, we just moved in. That stand belongs to the person that used to live here. And we left it out. And we're trying to find tuba. We're like, oh, okay, my bad. I guess we'll just go ahead to find some somewhere else. But it was kind of random. We're like, oh, we should probably not leave that stand outside. But yeah,
or
tuba
I
was
mean,
great.
if they learn to make tuba, then they'll Siyempre, ufan mamatina salapi. They'll make some money. They'll make some money,
Yeah,
guaranteed.
well, go
In
ahead, true.
this economy, you need that tuba money. You need that tuba money.
Tuba money.
And so, aede, si dus masi hamsu todos, and we are out of time, but I want to give Aligo sort of a final chance, sort of as one of the organizers for this year, to just kind of conclude, to offer some thoughts to kind of wrap things up. And so, Aligo, por favor.
Yeah, I think my thoughts that I want to kind of leave the space with, I think from to being a participant last year, and then an organizer this year, and still a learner, right? I think that for everyone that's going to be listening to this, whether you know the Chamorro language or not, like something that I think we all should understand and know is that it's an ongoing journey. There's so many reasons, and people have different reasons. There's so many reasons to learn our heritage language, whether it be to honor our loved ones and the ones that passed away, whether it be to connect with our culture in a very deep way. Because I was just at PIFA a couple days ago, and man, Chamorros are all there, all blinged out, all their gear, and I'm like, oh my goodness, we want that connection. We want that connection to who we are, and it's just so evident. So, one of the deepest ways we can do that is to learn our language. And it's again, it's not linear journey. It doesn't mean your trajectory is going to be entirely consistent and constant. You might, drop down a little bit. You might fall off that caravel, but you got to get back on it, keep on riding it. And the good thing is you don't have to do that alone. You have a community of tomorrows in lots of different places that are willing to bring you in, create that space with you, and will be willing to learn with you. So I just want to kind of put that message out there that there's always, we're out here. If you're interested in learning more about ourselves with us, then you're always welcome, whether it be within Prugråman Sinipok or even outside of that.
Ia, Degolf Bonito now. My goodness, this is your first year as an organizer. Esta be attendi. I'm already gonna attend your TED talk, Gumby. Your Cuentos TED. And so
we care about you, yeah.
Hungan. Dang man, Hungan. Here, Tsuli Salapekule. Take my money. Hungan. All right. Si Zeus Masi no Hamzu Todos, that was, I say it to, I say it to everyone who takes this up. Sa este megaña na tautauta ti matungo y lenguaje niha, pues hu agradeci cada uno na tauta ni ha keketungo. I appreciate every single Chamorro who is trying to learn Chamorro because the majority of our people can't speak Chamorro. So I appreciate everyone who is trying to learn. And so hu agradeci hamsu todos because you have taken it even further beyond somebody who just is watching videos on social media or maybe buying a Chamorro dictionary or something like that. You have taken it even further. And so I appreciate you being strong on your journey. And I think that some of you even, looking into the future may, like others who have gone through Prugråman Sinipok, may even take on that task of helping others, right? And that's one of the things that I've always loved about Prugråman Sinipok is that people start off as participants, but then through the community that it builds and how, as Aliga was mentioning, it kind of, you come to feel that language is more than just the words, but it connects you to community, it connects you to this identity, it makes you feel responsible for things too. It also makes you feel like, and this is why I teach my Zoom classes, is like, I should probably help others. I should probably help others learn too. It was hard for me to learn. Other people, it'll be difficult too. I should probably help others too. Other people will also need support just like I did. And so, eno I otra na klase na ina azuda, ina famaulek. And so, hu agradeci hamzu todo, put ifinaton midzu para este episode Fenatsu. I appreciate everyone for coming on this episode of Fenatsu. And hu agradeci hamzu todos put in eegadzan in eekungok este episode Fenatsu. Esti Fenakpu. This is the end